My name is Mark, although that's not my real name. The guy writing this on his computer thought it sounded like a good one. I'm a stand-up comedian. My wife, let's call her Lana, though I know her name isn't important to you, has a set of measurements that might interest you more. She stands at 150 centimeters and weighs around 110 pounds. Yes, she's round and smooth, especially at the back. YouTube keeps me from saying much more, but let's just say her figure turns heads. Now, about her chest, well, they're not the ripe ones you might imagine. They're the smaller, unripe kind. Yes, that's right. I couldn't think of a better way to put it. Lana and I got married in 2018 after dating for about 2 years. She would come to watch my performances, drink a little, and cheer me on as I performed. One meeting led to another, and soon we started dating. After 2 years of being together, we tied the knot. Everything was going well. I was still doing my gigs, performing at small parties and local bars. But then 2019 hit, and with it came that cursed virus. The world shut down and my gigs dried up. Money got tight, but luckily, we had some savings to live on. We didn't have any kids, so that made things a bit easier. Now, about Lana's family. Her father was a former university professor, and her mother was a homemaker, a sharp-tongued one at that. She never liked me, always found faults, and constantly berated me. To be honest, I didn't like her either, but one thing stood out. My mother-in-law was stunningly attractive. I'd be lying if I said her looks hadn't influenced my decision to marry Lana. With the perfect curves and a wardrobe designed to turn heads, she was unforgettable. Her voice was awful, but hey, I wasn't marrying her. I was marrying Lana. By 2021, as the world began to reopen, I noticed changes in Lana. She had become outgoing, literally out of the house. She would leave for parties around 5 p.m. and come back around 7 a.m., drunk and exhausted. Did I protest? Yes. Did I confront her? Absolutely. Her response? She called me a leash, claimed I was suffocating her, and accused me of draining her freedom while we lived off our dwindling savings. I worked hard to keep us afloat. I paid the bills, but it wasn't enough. Realizing this, I took up a job as a bartender at one of the clubs where I used to perform. Even with rising doubts, suspicions turned into certainty one day when I went through Lana's closet. What did I find? A giant red toy, startling enough on its own, and next to it, a packet of rubber, unlike any I had seen before. This one had protrusions all over it, reminiscent of those props you'd see in Japanese animated films. You know those Japanese movies with tentacles, where the tentacles have even smaller tentacles. That's exactly how it looked. The image stayed in my mind, looping endlessly. I knew it wasn't mine. I had never seen or bought anything like that. So why did Lana have a packet of rubber like that in her closet? I was clueless. I waited for Lana to come home and, testing my suspicion, told her that I was in the mood and out of rubbers. She smiled slyly and said, "Don't worry, honey. I have something for you." She brought out the tentacled rubber. Yes, I used it that night with Lana. Don't judge me. A man's got to do what he has to do to find out the truth. Afterward, while trying to process it all, I sat with my headphones on, playing Never Be the Same by Christopher Cross just to feel melancholic. But the image of that rubber still gnawed at me. I left the house, needing air, and headed to my bar. The next day, I decided to follow Lana to see what she was up to. I took the day off from the club and trailed her. Just 15 minutes into my pursuit, I saw her get picked up by a rich, old, heavy-set man. Picture a blend of Fat Tony and the comic book guy from The Simpsons. This guy was over 350 pounds, a massive presence. I watched them hop from one nightclub to another, finally ending up at a hotel. I followed and waited in the lobby, straining for any sign of them. They eventually came out hand in hand. Lana didn't notice me, but I could see she was struggling to walk. Years of watching Japanese anime had messed with my perception, and my brain felt like it was on overload. I wasn't sure what I was thinking at that moment. I drove home slowly, barely breathing, my chest heavy with that crushing feeling when your heart shatters and the pieces feel like they're lodged in your stomach. When I finally reached home, the sight that greeted me froze me in place. The rich man's car was parked in my driveway. I was petrified, scared for reasons I couldn't explain. I tiptoed into the house and saw this giant, heavy-set man standing near my wife, undressed and swallowing a pill. He took it and climbed on top of her. I couldn't bear to stay any longer. Unlike the dramatic stories you hear, I didn't take a video, rush in, or act out in rage. No! I simply walked out. This was my pivotal moment, my canon event, the one that had to happen for the story to make sense. I left the house and sat in the park, letting the air fill my lungs, trying to ground myself. The next day, I resolved to expose Lana. Like those AI-generated revenge stories on Reddit, I thought of making it public during a family vacation, a holiday, or an event, maybe at the comic book launch from a few videos ago. I installed cameras around the house, especially in the bedroom, and linked them to my phone. It didn't take long. The following day, the man returned with Lana. What unfolded next was unbelievable. The man came in, swallowed 2 pills, handcuffed Lana to the bedpost, and positioned himself between her legs, then collapsed. He was dead. I was frozen. Should I call 911 or just pretend I didn't see this? Finally, I made the call. The operator answered. "Hello, this is the emergency department. How can I help you?" I blurted out, "My wife is stuck under a guy." There was silence. I explained that she was stuck under a dead body, and the surprise in the operator's voice was palpable. After more explaining, that my wife was with a man who died mid-act, the operator stifled what I knew was laughter and said, "I'm sending help to your home." By the time I drove back, there were 5 ambulances and numerous police cars parked outside. A crowd of at least 100 people stood in front of my house, watching as the body of the heavy man was carried out on a stretcher. I felt a twinge of pity for him, but not much. Inside, chaos reigned as they cut Lana free from the handcuffs. When she saw me, she started crying and yelled, "It's not what it looks like." I raised my hand and said, "Save it." Lana was taken to the hospital for rib injuries. The next day, I visited Lana. "I don't trust you anymore. We need a divorce," I said. She wept and pleaded, "No, it's not what you think." I showed her the video and said, "I've known for a long time. You broke my trust, and you brought someone into my bed." She apologized profusely, but I stood firm. "No, it's over," I told her. Despite her sobbing and pleading, an idea struck me. "Lana, our relationship is broken. Let's rebuild it, but from scratch. That means getting divorced first, and then dating each other again." To my surprise, she agreed. We filed for divorce, and during the process, she visited me regularly. Yes, I used up that packet of rubber with her. Don't judge. A man has needs, and she was willing. When the divorce was finalized, I didn't owe her alimony or settlements. It was clean. Afterward, I ghosted her. I left town, moved to another country, and adopted a new identity, though my passport still has my original name. None of my friends know where I am because I fear Lana might come looking for me. Now, I manage a local bar, overseeing all operations. Life is peaceful, and I have a few women who visit me now and then. It's not the life I once envisioned, but who knows? Maybe in a few years, I'll find real love and get married again. Until then, take care, and feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. Bye-bye.